was still on Sudan's transition process. The head of the United Nations Integrated Transition Assistance Mission in Sudan, Volker Perthes, says Sudanese stakeholders are closer than they have ever been to a settlement and the return to a civilian government. Sudan's envoy to the United Nations, Idris Al-Harith Mohammed, told the Security Council that the transitional government is committed to ironing out any pending issues.
Sudanese stakeholders are closer than they have ever been to a settlement and the return to a civilian government. The process, certainly not perfect and occasionally criticized for being too slow, has managed to get a broad and sufficiently inclusive group of stakeholders, particularly the military authorities and civilian opposition parties, to near agreement. And as the Sudanese navigate this last hurdle, collective efforts from the international community are needed now more than ever.
The commitment to implement the new matrix was reiterated in line with the timetable so as to complete the implementation of the outstanding issues of the agreement. The transition government is committed to ensure the implementation of the updated matrix in line with its new timetables so as to create a strong momentum to iron out these final issues. Peace is the key issue in Sudan, and it is the overreaching priority of the state.
Well, let's take a deeper look into this development in Sudan. We have with us Alex Vines, Managing Director at Ethics, Risk and Resilience and Director of Africa Program at Chatham House. He joins us live via Zoom from London. Thank you so much for joining us on Africa Live, Alex. Alex, parties to the Sudan talks seem to agree to have a transitional government in place by April the 11th. That will be composed of civilians and the military. It seems to be quite a feat that they've gotten to this point, Alex. What do you think it has taken to get here?
It is quite a feat. It's this final political agreement should usher in my view, a beginning of the end of the military's formal rule in politics, where with a civilian head of state and prime minister selected, and also choosing who will be in the cabinet and who will chair the Defense and Security Council. So as you've been reporting, it's taken a huge amount of pressure from the streets and negotiations with civilian leaders, but also international partners to reach this point. A key marker was last December when there was an agreement signed between the generals and 40 civilian leaders, and now we're at the next step. So this is a really important moment for Sudan and its potential transition.
So Alex, from what we're hearing, the UN mission in Sudan is saying that this is the closest ever that the parties have come to this. What could be driving the new willingness to get this done, Alex?
I think it's that there's a more cooperative atmosphere in Sudan, particularly also amongst the civilian groups that have created a unified front to negotiate with the military and the Islamic Old Guard. So I think that's really an important part of it. There's also a broad sense, I think, among the stakeholders that the perfect should not be the enemy of the good. A political settlement is urgently needed to assist and reset the transition to democracy. Sudan's economy is in economic crisis, so that's also focused minds about how to get a better economy. I think this all explains why we suddenly see this movement.
So what we have to keep in mind, Alex, is that what has been called for is that eventually that there is a civilian government that's running Sudan. The agreement so far that we're seeing is for a transitional government. What remains to be done, Alex, on the road to an elected civilian government in Sudan?
Well, there's plenty of things. There is about reforming the economy. There's about security sector reform. There are sensitive issues that still have not been ironed out and could still throw a spanner into this process, such as transitional justice. And there needs to also, from the outside, be sustained and coordinated international support and pressure. And given the uncertainties, including the conflict in Ukraine that you've been reporting about, that all adds extra complexity. But the idea is that there should be, in 2 years' time, an election. And so this is a transitional process pending then democratic elections in Sudan. It's an important moment. I really do think we have to congratulate the Sudanese that they have got to this moment. It's what Sudan needs is to move forward after the setbacks that we've seen in recent years.